Okay, so let's dive into this. The Department of Justice news. It's really got people talking.
Mhm.
After finding Google guilty on the search and advertising stuff, well, now we're in the penalty phase.
Right, the remedies. What actually happens now?
Exactly. And the big one they floated? Wow. They're suggesting Google might actually have to sell Chrome.
It's a pretty drastic recommendation. I mean,
Yeah.
selling off something as central as Chrome.
It's huge, but then, hold on, because it gets even wilder.
Okay.
OpenAI. They've, publicly put their hand up,
Yeah.
said if Chrome's for sale, they might be interested.
OpenAI, really?
Yeah.
Their head of product, Nick Turley, actually testified to that.
Yep, testified. OpenAI wanting Chrome. Just let that sink in. So think about it, for you listening, what does that even mean? Your main way onto the internet, suddenly owned by the ChatGPT folks.
It's a massive question. Could this fundamentally change how we all access the web?
So the first thing that pops into my head is this real? Is OpenAI serious? Or is it, a bit of a stunt?
That's definitely the immediate question. A strategic power move, or maybe grabbing some headlines.
Right. Because I saw this mention, I think it was on the AI Inside podcast, how it could just be smart PR.
Mm-hmm.
Like Perplexity joking about buying TikTok when that was up in the air. It gets you noticed when a big asset might be forcibly sold.
There's certainly a PR dimension, no doubt. It gets people talking, like us right now.
Totally.
But you have to connect it to OpenAI's bigger picture, right? Their whole push into AI services, agentic AI.
Ah, right. The AI that does stuff for you, not just answers questions.
Exactly. If they own Chrome, that's direct access.
Yeah.
Right there, at the start of almost everyone's online journey.
Like putting their AI right into the browser itself.
Think about Perplexity's own browser, Comet. It's built around AI from the start. OpenAI could potentially do that on massive scale with Chrome.
Okay, so that makes strategic sense. But
Right.
hang on. Antitrust alarms should be ringing off the hook, shouldn't they?
Immediately, yes.
Isn't the whole point of the DOJ case against Google to stop one huge company controlling that internet gateway?
Precisely.
So if OpenAI, already this giant in AI, buys Chrome, aren't we just swapping one problem for another, maybe even a bigger one down the line?
That is the core antitrust concern right there. A dominant AI player controlling the dominant browser.
Yeah.
The potential for favoring their own services, stifling competitors.
Mm-hmm.
It's exactly what regulators would be worried about. It raises huge questions.
It really makes you think about the browser itself. We sort of take it for granted, don't we? It's just there.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't always just there. Remember the early days? That YouTube source mentioned how people literally thought AOL or Cape was the internet.
Yeah, naive view, yeah. The browser was perceived as everything back then.
And even within the browser, things have shifted, like Chrome's Omnibox.
Oh, absolutely. That single bar for addresses and searches.
Yeah. For most people, that is Google now. I mean, when did you last actually go to google.com, the actual page?
It's rare, right? You just type straight into the Omnibox. It's become the main interface.
So the Google homepage is almost irrelevant for many people now. But then there's this other idea floating around. Could this new wave of AI, generative AI, agentic AI, could it actually make the traditional browser less important? Or even replace it?
That's the really big forward-looking question.
Like if you can just ask an AI, maybe using your voice, to find something or do a task, do you even need to open Chrome in the same way?
It potentially changes the whole interaction model. Think back to Microsoft and the browser wars in the 90s.
Right. Internet Explorer versus Netscape. Huge battle.
Microsoft saw the browser as the key strategic point. Control the browser, control the internet experience.
Yeah.
But eventually, its central importance faded for them. Competition, new platforms. Could AI be the next big shift, the next dominant interface, making the browser itself less critical?
It's kind of mind-bending to think about, but okay, back to the practical stuff. Selling Chrome. It's not simple, is it? That YouTube discussion hit on this too, how tangled up Chrome is with everything else Google does.
Oh, absolutely. Gmail, Docs, Drive, Maps, Translate, they're all deeply integrated.
How do you even separate those? It sounds like a nightmare, like trying to, I don't know, separate the old phone company from the actual phone handset.
It's a good analogy.
Yeah.
They were designed together. So what exactly gets sold? Just the app?
Or does it include Chromium, the open source part?
Or even Chrome OS for the Chromebooks?
Yeah. The technical mess of pulling that apart must be enormous.
The logistical challenges are immense, definitely.
And it's not like Google has zero competition anyway. The browser market isn't totally dead.
No, that's a fair point. We are seeing new entrants.
Like Perplexity building their own browser. So the argument was made, maybe it's actually not that hard for a company like OpenAI with their resources to just build their own browser if they really wanted to.
Well, trivial might be stretching it a bit.
Okay, fair enough. Not
Yeah.
trivial.
But the barriers have come down, thanks to things like Chromium being open source. You can build on that foundation.
Right.
Still, building the tech is one thing. Getting millions, billions of people to actually switch their default browser, that's the real mountain to climb for any newcomer. Market share is sticky.
Good point. Very sticky. And we also need to remember this DOJ thing. It's just a recommendation for now.
Exactly. It's not a done deal. Not by a long shot.
These antitrust cases take ages, and the whole landscape, even within the DOJ, can shift.
Priorities change, administrations change. The final outcome is really uncertain.
But regulators do have to think long term, right? Like fast forward 10, 20 years.
Yeah.
What if OpenAI did control the main browser with their AI baked in?
That's the scenario they have to grapple with. What kind of power dynamic does that create? What does it mean for innovation, for access to information in the future? It's a serious consideration.
So we're left with this real fork in the road feeling. On one hand, this huge potential shakeup, forcing a tech giant to divest a core asset, maybe opening the door for AI integration in a whole new way.
A potential massive shift in how we experience the internet.
But on the other hand, the sheer difficulty of actually doing it, the technical knots, the market inertia, and the big unknowns about whether it even solves the original problem or just creates a new one.
It's incredibly complex with no easy answers.
Which leads to maybe the final thought for you, listening. With AI moving so incredibly fast, is arguing about who owns the browser even the main event anymore? Or are we about to see totally new ways of interacting online?
New interfaces, new paradigms.
Yeah.
Maybe voice, maybe agents. That could make the browser, as we know it today, seem, well, quaint, almost a relic.
Definitely something to think about. A lot to unpack there.
Indeed.
Okay, that's our deep dive for now. See you soon.